Episode 83 of LightsThunderAction is here. We are diving right into Moon Knight at the top, and we'll dive even further into the news later on. We'll see you after the jump, kids. Welcome to
LTA with
TCR
and JRB.
This is where the fun begins.
You're just not thinking fourth dimensional.
Slowest Peter 03.
Num num.
I'm vengeance.
What? Did we just become best friends?
Yup! I love you guys.
Hold on to your butts.
If we find out you have personalized license plates, you die.
Dude, I almost had you.
To that I say, all right.
Good evening. It is April 25th, 2022, and it is time for your Monday Night Pick-Me-Up, where two beard bros dive into all things Marvel, DC, pop culture, IP, and the latest happenings in the film industry.
Absolutely. We've got a lot to talk about today. Thomas and I will be starting tonight's episode going full throttle on the Moon Knight speculation. And then we'll get to some pretty exciting news updates in the industry, including some new Obi-Wan Kenobi set photos. Official stills, actually, from Empire, I believe. And a possible new MCU role for the very beloved Terry Crews. But first, Thomas, where can everyone find us?
We are live beaming directly into your homes and phones via our Lights Thunder Action Facebook and the HWWS WebTV channel over on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. All of those links can be found at Linktree.com/Lights Thunder Action, as well as HWWSWebTV.com. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow to view the live version of our show where you can interact with us. But if you don't want to look at our beautiful beards, but you love to hear our beautiful voices,
then you can find our beautiful voices on Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, and Spotify. Please leave us a 5-star review while you're there. Make sure to follow and subscribe too on those platforms, and ask us a question in that review that you leave, and we'll answer it right here on the show. Now, with that said, I think, Thomas, we just got to dive right in. It's been a long week. You're still muted. We need to figure out.
If anyone has advice on getting a battery out of a mouse, please tell me, because I ain't got no mouse right now.
I say you chuck it right at the wall.
I do not want it to break. I thought about that. Yeah, let's dive right into Moon Knight, because it's gonna get crazy. Okay. All right, everybody.
Let's do it.
Real quick, I want to get your spoiler-free review on what you thought of this episode, because you've always been a little bit different on this here show than I have.
Yeah. I'll put it real simply. I'm back, baby. I am on the train. I am ready to see where this show's going. No, as this episode ended and then we saw the credits roll, all I thought of was sitting up late at night in the middle of January last year watching WandaVision, dude, and just sitting here thinking, what did I just witness? I can't remember the last time that I was taken on a ride like that. That was a lot of fun. I'm a big fan of what they're trying to do with this show now. That episode made the other three worth watching, in my opinion.
We did it. I got nothing to do with the show. We did it, though. We got him back in. I love it. I also love this. I love everything. Let's be honest. That's kind of my thing. That's why I need someone who's like critical every now and again, because I really do love pretty much everything. Boy, was this episode fun. Indiana Jones vibes all day long.
So much Indiana Jones.
Shot in the same place, as The Last Crusade. And they even use similar camera angles and obstacles, in case you weren't paying super close attention. I did have to Google that, because I was like, where's that from? I've seen that. It was Last Crusade. Love it.
That's awesome.
And then if you think about it, it is The Last Crusade for us as an audience, because we just didn't know it. We had no idea what was going to be happening, and it gets crazy, but the cinematography is still the sexiest thing about this show, and it has Oscar Isaac. I mean, come on. So what does that tell you? Real quick, The director of photography, Andrew Drews Palermo, he's crushed this whole series, and he uses a lot of swivel shots in some places, like in the caverns. Gorgeous. He reveals new obstacles or places inside the tomb, and it reminded me of Assassin's Creed Origin game, excuse me. Then the demon grabbing Layla, the way that sequence of how it just swings all the way around, it added the kinetic energy to the shot.
Oh, so much tension in that shot too, because you knew exactly what was waiting for you on the other side of it. Oh, I loved the way they did that. It was like the Mummy. It was big fan of that. Yeah, absolutely.
Big fan. And the way it all ties in with the strings, just oh man.
Oh yeah.
It got me. I was like, they're gonna do the thing. At least I know they're gonna do the thing. I'm glad I'm really tired this morning.
This was in the trailer too, or at least one trailer. So we're not spoiling anything yet. But we need to go just full spoiler mode.
And then of course the sinking shot, which we'll get to later on. Before we get to super spoilers, what did you think about the Marvel Studios music on this one? Do you love it? Do you hate it?
I'm always a fan of them making those changes and adjustments to it to try to make it feel more in line with the project that it's representing. I liked this one a lot. I really liked this one. It was big fan of that too.
Did okay, I had this question written down. Would you rather go back to the fanfare or keep this specific one? Because I got the feeling when I heard this, the same feeling I got when I watched Thor: The Dark World, when Brian Tyler hit that fanfare for the very first time. Did I just name the wrong guy? Anyways, I think I did. Hits the fanfare for the first time. It is Brian Tyler. And it's been how many years? 8 years? 9 years? That was 2014, 13. It's almost been a decade. Yeah. Fanfare has been around for a decade. This one, maybe it's because I love choruses yelling, just but the way it landed on Marvel Studios is what these should feel like every time. These movies, these shows, and it was a great fanfare. My official vote. Would you rather though?
Wow. That for Moon Knight specifically, I would be very okay with keeping this one. For the whole MCU, that the fanfare we've had for 8 or 9 years now still hits me every time, especially in a movie theater. But now that you're saying this, I'm trying to imagine hearing that in a theater. Could you imagine seeing that on like an IMAX screen and hearing that chorus from like all around you?
I can.
Wow. I think that there's no way they're going to do this, but like that would be really cool to hear actually. Even if it was just for like maybe Moon Knight's first theatrical appearance, maybe, you know, because they do that with certain films. Like I know the Spider-Man movies kind of make it a blend of, you know, Marvel's fanfare and then also the iconic Spidey theme song. Yeah, and then I mean other movies just don't have it. They'll just show like what was it? Infinity War and Endgame, I believe. Endgame had I'm blanking on the name of the song right now, but Endgame had a song overlaid, and then Infinity War was just the distress call, right?
Yes, Dear Mr. Fantasy.
There it is. Yeah, so they do make these changes sometimes, whether they be slight adjustments or just removing it altogether. I wouldn't mind seeing them experiment with something like this in a movie theater. That I like where you're going with that, and I'm gonna ride that wave.
I like it. JRB, you know I'm gonna go crazy as we get closer to the end here.
Yeah.
I didn't realize this. I did kind of like I synopsised the entire plot. Like
you did put pretty much the entire plot in here. Yes.
I did not mean to, but like I could fire through that really quick, you know?
Yeah. Why don't you do like just a rundown of the episode in the simplest terms, and then if there's spots we want to talk about during that, we'll stop at them. But let's at least hit the ground running with this episode so people can get on the same page as us, and then I'll let you unload.
Okay. So the cold open is we see Khonshu added to a wall with 9 other gods cased in stone that are called Ushabtis. Very important note. I have questions on whether they will live or die as those stones, but whatever. Layla saves the day by blowing up an ammo box with a flare. JRB, are flares having a moment?
Flares are straight up having a moment, and I'm a big fan of it because it brings me even further back. It honestly gave me kind of like Jurassic Park vibes almost. I was really liking how they were using that.
I was like, ooh, a flare, just like Batman. And then like she's waving it in a way, and I'm like, that is 100% Jurassic Park. Let's go, dude.
Oh yeah, I was a big fan of that.
Big fan. So yeah, flares are having a moment. We want more flares. Woo! Back to woo! Woo! Steve drops to Layla eventually that Mark is protecting her from Khonshu when she tries to kiss him. Then being honesty happens, 100% entering my vocabulary. And then Steven goes in for the kiss, and boy, was that weird. How did you feel about the kiss?
I really didn't like it. But only because of Layla's reaction. The way Steven was doing it, this is already making me uncomfortable because I'm picturing how uncomfortable Layla was during that entire experience. The moment that follows kind of makes it a little bit better. And we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, she seemed that just hardly seemed consensual, honestly. Like I did not enjoy that at all.
Yes, that's a great way to put it. It was not a consensual kiss. And it was I watched it, I was like, well, there you go, Steven, way to take a shot. And then like she turns and I'm like, oof, you failed, bro. You missed your shot though. I'm like, to be fair, nice guy. I totally understand why being like, well, it's protecting you from Khonshu. That means that's Steven showing he cares.
Yeah, and well, maybe this is her realizing that she really does love Mark, and Steven is just some infatuation where she thought, oh, finally, this better version of Mark has shown up, and I can have, someone that's actually going to look after me. And then she realizes, no, my heart is truly with Mark. So I think that was definitely like a necessary scene to have, but like it did its job very well because even I was like, oh no.
Yeah. I was like, unfortunate. But then shout out to Mark Spector taking control of an arm, and we get the one punch in the face.
Oh my god, dude, that I haven't laughed that hard at a TV show in a while. That one got me really good.
We end up inside of the tomb. As I said earlier, it does feel like the tomb's in Assassin's Creed Origins. I'm skipping over a lot of really good stuff here. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of great cinematography. But before it gets gruesome, that's right, I said it, Steven climbs up and sees a snake arm to regenerate limbs and tissue. Likely the sorcerer's doing that. But I have a question for you real quick that I need you to vamp while I find this picture that's not uploading.
All right, hit me.
What if the secrets of this snake skin and regeneration is somehow going to lead to the Serpent Society? How would you make that happen, JRB?
Oh, God. Oh, wow. That is... I'm mad at you for putting that on me because I want to know how your brain got there. But is it literally just the snake? Or is it...
If I'm being...
Tell me.
So I see it and I'm like, well, was that like a reptilian? Like, oh my God.
It was very strange because it was a human hand covered in snakeskin that had been split apart. I had to rewind that several times to figure out what exactly like we were looking at. Like it was like a human arm that had been like severed, but like it was like braided into like snakeskin. It was so strange.
And
now I understand the image, kind of finding how hard that's going to be. But that was wow, Serpent Society. That would be really cool. So okay, so for the people listening, the Serpent Society, and this is from fandom.com, is a business enterprise of criminals and mercenaries who were costumed identities that had costume identities based on snakes. So you had people like Anaconda, Black Mamba, you had Cottonmouth, who we've seen in Daredevil. We have Diamondback, Princess Python, Rattler. I think another one. I think one of the guys' name is literally like Constrictor. So like Cottonmouth. That's right. Now he's technically dead if we're going off of all the Netflix stuff. But
you mean
who knows
Blade?
What's going to be canon? Yes, that's right. Plus, he's playing another character now. So that's kind of but yeah, they're one of the best organized and most successful coalitions of criminals that were ever to operate. So they Sidewinder, if anyone's familiar with that character, is the one who kind of created it. But it was based on an older group called Serpent Squad. I like where you're going with this, because like I'm always here for these stretches, you know, like, oh, there's a snake, that means Serpent Society, you know. It's like when we were watching Falcon and Winter Soldier and every Easter egg meant like a new character appearance. But
oh, you mean the aerospace engineer?
Yes, or the aerospace engineer that I remember talking to you about that one, and we were so certain it was Blue Marvel or Mr. Fantastic. And wow, yeah, WandaVision did that to us with so many characters and didn't even try to. We were just so thirsty for new content. But
we were.
Anyway, Serpent Society.
That's right. So the way I thought it might go, in my head at least, you know, my head canon is eventually someone's going to have to come in here and see what's going on. And then, of course, that's naturally going to lead to, oh, if this can lead to regeneration, what if we could like splice DNA? Because it's 2025. Why would they not splice DNA? That's exactly what science wants you to do in 2025 or whatever. So then they do that. Boom, things go wrong. Serpent Society. Shout out Captain America 3, Serpent Society. That never happened. That's where my brain instantly was like, Serpent Society, they already teased us.
Oh, that's a great point. Yeah, Serpent Society has been on their idea board for a long time. So
I did not find that image. It's not on the internet. I was trying to find the arm for our visual audience, but it's okay. Guess what? You can find it in the episode somewhere around 14 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. I rewound a lot. But the sorcerers seem to also utilize echolocation with clicking sound. I watched the new Rockstars video, and he was like, yeah, because their tongues are removed. And I was like, well, there you go. That makes sense.
Wait, what? So they can how do you make that sound without your tongue?
They don't have a tongue because it's taken out in the process of becoming whatever they become before, you know, as they're burying the pharaoh. But without your tongue, you can still utilize like certain parts back here. Like
I'm like trying to do it right now. Like, interesting. That thing was so creepy, man. And the like real horror movie vibes that they had when it was like, you could see its hand crawling like in the floorboard. Oh, wow. That I looked over at my fiance when they were doing that, and she was like, you know, and that was truly creepy. But yeah, those creatures in general, I can't believe that we watched a dude get gutted. Like straight up, like we watched a dude, the life drain from his body, and he immediately went to work on the dude.
Yeah.
That was very unexpected, very strange.
I loved it though. Like that's what we've been kind of waiting for here, and that's
what
true. I expect out of a Egyptian tomb.
It's certainly not campy, which is what I was calling this show 2 episodes ago. So, we've definitely
like a butterfly, sting like a bee. My name is Steven with a V.
Yeah, that sounds like something you hear in like a Saturday morning cartoon, man. So it keeps swinging back and forth, but yeah, this episode was
just
much
like
more
his
intense.
Scales.
Interesting. I like that a lot. The scales is something I want to bring attention to because they brought attention to it again in this episode, and we still haven't been told what the scales actually read, even though it's been referenced 3 times now, because they read the scales in episode 1 and they didn't show us, and then they were brought up again in episode 2 or 3, I believe. We still didn't know what they actually read, and then Arthur admitted in this episode to Layla, I read his scales, and still wouldn't say what they were. So that I don't know what they're building towards.
You mean like what it,
like whether they were balanced or unbalanced? Like all he said is there's chaos in you, but why are they not showing it? If
I think their version of chaos, at least Amit's version of chaos, is going back and forth and not picking either side. whether it be positive or
Oh,
negative.
so the moving that we saw it do, it just never stopped?
Yeah, which I mean, if you want to get existential really quick before we get super existential later,
No.
there is an entire like spiritual subset out there that looks into choosing either positive or negative polarity. So it kind of fluctuates and kind of adds into that right there. I can't get in deep into that one because we ain't got time. We're going to get deep later on, ladies and gentlemen, into some soul stuff. Yeah, no, I agree though. Weird. I want to know the answer. I feel like we eventually will know the answer. My guess is we'll find out in the place that has yet to be mentioned. In next episode, if I'm being honest, I feel like we will find out before anyone else. The audience will find out before anyone else.
Right.
Right. So I think mostly so we know who to root for, if you will.
Right. I mean, I think it's crazy that we still haven't even seen Amit. There's been no trace of. I mean, I get that it's because Amit's in prison, but like, you think we'd at least see something like a backstory or like a something other than just these monuments teasing her, because it kind of feels like a Mephisto buildup where like it's just all these Easter eggs we're having to put together ourselves. That's not actually going to happen. But
well,
who knows? I mean, maybe Amit is something entirely different, and this is just another lie that we're being told. So,
oh my God.
But remember Agatha all along, how the loop that threw us for?
Hey man, listen, shout out Catherine Hahn. Love her. Boo. I would marry that woman.
Oh yeah. Catherine Hahn is the best.
Anyways, the scene with Layla and the zombie, I'm calling it the zombie. That scene was, gold. The cinematography was beautiful, as I mentioned earlier. Then Harrow tells Layla the truth that Mark was there the night of her father's murder. Mm-hmm. And he remembers, he being Mark, everything that happened that night, everyone that died. Mark then reveals it was the same night he became Moon Knight. Now, that's me. Ladies and gentlemen, I went back and rewatched. I'm inferring, but he says, I should have died too that night, but I didn't.
Yes.
And
that was 100% a callback to how Khonshu saved his life. Absolutely. Yeah. It has to be.
Now, my question is, like, I don't have an answer, but can he remember every night like Khonshu?
That's interesting, because if he can remember that night, see, when he said, of course I didn't kill him, but he remembers it vividly, and he's the only one that survived it. But his partner was the one that gunned everyone down. Where did his partner go? Because by partner, I feel like that's his like scapegoat or like cop out, instead of saying my alternate personality. And what I don't know whether Mark knows about this third personality or not at all, because he got mad at Steven for doing something, and when Steven he said he didn't do it. All Mark said was, I didn't do it either. He didn't say, oh, well, who could this have been, or spend too much time on it. He probably deducted that, oh shit, it's that guy again. That's a real stretch, but it would make sense why he was the only one to make it out that night.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm still trying to make sense of that one, but it really felt like he was trying to hide that he was responsible, and then copping out by saying, well, me, Mark, I didn't do it, because there's some holes in that story that just don't add up.
Yeah. And honestly, it'd be like that. I think we'll find out soon. I don't want to get into predictions yet, but so we've skipped a lot of Steven being awesome this episode. We talked about him being weird. He's super jazzed about being inside of this tomb, and he, I'm kind of like, it's getting me extra jazzed, because I'm like, sweet, like, we're inside of a tomb. I love these are always fun to watch, always fun to play in a game. And he's like if they like came to life and asked me to say a riddle or answer a riddle, I'd cry. I'd shit myself. Oh, no, I'd be thrilled. I'd shit myself, but I'd be thrilled. So he's really jazzed up. He's going along. He's the one solving all of this. The Eye of Horus is designed, like the whole place is a maze designed in the Eye of Horus. He goes to the tongue. There lies the last voice of Amit, Alexander the Great of Macedonia. I could theorize about a lot of stuff, but I'm going to theorize about just a single thing. Is he the one that betrayed her to the gods?
I'm thinking she is. I'm absolutely, or he is. I'm thinking he is.
Which now I'm wondering if he did, and they entombed her, encased her, did they kill him? Or when that happened, did it couldn't have killed him. We watched Mark survive.
Right. Right.
Wait a minute. What if they were only
lived...
doing that though?
No, he probably wanted to be buried with Amit to make sure no one else released her.
Maybe. Yeah.
Because
okay,
if he betrayed her and had her imprisoned, who would he trust with her tomb? Or with her imprisoned self of stone or whatever? He would probably want to be buried with it, wouldn't he?
I mean, maybe he betrayed her trying to gain power, like more power, trying to take her place. And they were like, "Yo, nothing but a human. You die too."
It seems like who else's decision would it have been for him to be buried with Amit? You know, it had to have been his.
It had to have been.
Yeah. So like, if he did, why would it be up to him? You know, you're right. There's more to that story too, and I'm really excited that we're going to get such a huge part of human history, kind of put into the spotlight in the MCU, and they're going to like try to, interpret their own version of Alexander the Great. I'm really excited by the notion of that. If they put him as like a conqueror who betrayed an Egyptian god or something, that would add such a unique layer to what they're doing. It would bring in so many cool characters that would have a new thing where they're relevant, like Dane Whitman, working at the museum in London. His background in history would become more prevalent. You would have a personality of Moon Knight who immediately becomes important in the MCU. You would have a guy like Blade who can also come in with his affiliation with Dane Whitman's Black Knight. And dude, I've been seeing these rumblings of maybe Alexander the Great was a Kang variant. I don't know. I don't want to buy into it, but that would make Moon Knight and Eternals a lot more relevant to where the direction that the MCU is going. So with the Kang Easter egg we've already gotten, it would be really cool if Alexander the Great is also connected to Kang somehow.
Well, that would be intriguing. Oh my God. What if Alexander the Great is not the voice of Amit? Because they didn't know until he saw the sarcophagus.
Right.
It would make sense why. However, what if Rama Tut wanted to take down Alexander the Great and take down Amit at the same time somehow? What if he was the voice of Amit and betrayed her to the gods and blamed Alexander the Great for whatever was happening?
Ooh, interesting.
That's only because
the most influential conqueror in the world to take his place. That would be interesting too. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this time that we got to spend in this tomb and everything has opened up a lot of different possibilities, a lot of different doorways the MCU can go through, especially with the creatures that are introducing. And like, there's so much going on there, like presently happening, that makes you question like, well, what's been going on here this whole time? What are they protecting or hiding? And you still also have to ask what part of this show is real, because we still don't know if all of it's been real, if some of it's been real, or none of it's been real, because we just got thrown for the biggest loop after we figured out that he might be looking at the tomb of Alexander the Great. So Thomas, walk us through what happens after Steven has figured out where he is and what he needs to find.
Okay. He's found Alexander the Great. He's used the big axe that maybe cut the knot of whatever it was. Harrow comes in and shoots Mark in the chest twice, signifying the deaths, in my opinion, of Mark and Steven having two emotional focuses.
Oh, wow. Okay.
which will
Oh,
tie
wow.
in to predictions later, big time. So he was given a choice though to join, right? Now that he's a free man of Khonshu. And again, this whole time, Harrow killing it. Like Ethan Hawke, I mean, just killing it, just slaying everything he does. Just wait till his mustache shows up. My God, it's beautiful.
Oh man.
Shoots him twice in the chest. He was given an option. Mark was like, no, we're gonna fight. Also in this time, Layla has come in, and I mentioned the scene of earlier because I wanted it to tie in, makes more sense. But boom, Layla sees him get shot in the chest twice. We are left looking at him down in the water, and then it shows him from underneath the water that he's laying in. And by the way, this water is like not even covering his face when he's laying in it.
It's
like
only a couple inches deep.
It's a baby moat meant to signify don't cross this ethereal boundary. However, the shot from behind him is a shot of him falling deeper and deeper under the water as the camera swivels. The light from the pyramid shining down, as soon as it crosses that 180 degree, if you will, around Oscar Isaac's body, it becomes the light from the sun, and the water becomes space and stars until a tunnel is opened up, revealing a white room with a lot of crazy shit happening. A lot of characters we've seen. It is designed, at least in the show, as a mental hospital. I'm going to tell you now, ladies and gents and beautiful non-binary individuals, the mental hospital is just a construct to fool our little minds due to our inability to understand the inner workings of the universe. Flourish. This one... Thank you. I did go back, watch that episode just to get that quote exactly right. Shout out to the research squad. It's me. It's me writing my own jokes, sadly. I'm going to call this segment here, ladies and gentlemen, the existential speculation section. The design of the mental hospital, at least Harrow's office, is the one from Harrow's dungeon in episode 2. Go back and watch that episode when he becomes Mr. Knight. Steven does. Maybe it's episode 3. It's episode 2. It shows up and it's the exact same thing. It's just white this time here in the mental hospital. Wink, wink. Much like a dream world, things linger from consciousness and seep into the subconscious, such as Harrow and the symbols that recognize him. The little, when they show in his office, the big vase with the faces on it, those are the jars that the zombie was dropping remains into and covering them up. As well as, you know, Layla being there, and there's some images on that she's putting on the wall. We have Donna, we have Crowley, the street golden person. There's a lot of people in here. They're calling out bingo numbers. None of them make sense. They say T14 at some point. Like, come on. People are like, oh God, it's all been in his head. No, but ladies, listen, everybody should really pay attention to some stuff when they watch things. Maybe am I coming off like a gatekeeper? I am, aren't I? I'm sorry. You do you. Don't listen to me. I'm a fucking idiot sometimes. But I pay really close attention. I love a good mystery. I saw Inception the first time, and I was like, I know exactly what happens. And they're like, what are you talking about? The ending is crazy. It doesn't leave an answer. I'm like, it wobbled. It doesn't wobble in any dream state. It's cool, guys. And they're like, what? I was like, go back and watch it. And I don't know if they ever did, but I don't care because I did. It was a great movie. And here, it's a great show. Harrow and the symbols, and we get some of the other characters as well. But Harrow, excuse me, is acting as the guidance counselor or spirit guide here. And Taweret is the Egyptian. Hold on, I gotta stop. I almost jumped too far. I almost skipped Tomb Busters, bro. The VHS movie. So like when he's falling and he goes into this thing, the first thing we see is not the white room. I was so happy about the white room that I forgot about Tomb Busters. We see a kid and he's in the jungle, I suppose, and a British guy coming up and got a bit of a Cockney accent, and he's like talking about the Aztec lunar god that has 3 faces on the thing, and the kid's like, wait, you're Dr. Stephen Grant, aren't you? Boom, cuts out. That's when we get to the White Room. Boom. Now we will cut back to the guidance counselor talk I was just talking about in that office. He being the guidance counselor, Harrow, asks Mark, how many times have you seen that movie? It's a very important question, because I look at that as, like in this moment, he's asking how many times have you seen this movie? Existentially, as a spirit guide, he would be asking, how many times have you watched Steven live your life without you while you're in a mirror?
Whoa.
That's what's really being asked, in my opinion. That's what's really being asked here. Then we go on a little bit further, and an interesting line that a lot of people have like looked at is that I think kind of ties into some of the whole, has this been in his mind the whole time? And it relates to Steven at the same time. And it is, you're only here because of your behavior. If I'm not mistaken, is the line. And you're only locked up because of your behavior. And you're only sedated because of your behavior. So if people want to say this is all in his mind, everything we've seen so far, the only way that's possible, in my opinion, is if it is entirely the truth. That is Mark remembering things through Steven's eyes now. So now he's learning as Mark and Steven. Now, I don't think this is this is why I'm saying it's the only way, right? He was reliving everything that happened right up to his death as Steven. I think entirely everything we've seen is real. I don't think it's been in Mark's head. I think he just got shot and now he's woken up in this White Room, this mental hospital, if you will. What do you think about that theory that's been out there?
Wow, that is a crazy one, man. It would make sense how like Steven seems so utterly displaced. And his very existence just doesn't make any sense. Like, we still don't know why he can never get a hold of his mom. We still don't know really anything about Steven's like social life, because it seemed like he just straight up doesn't have one. We still don't know like his obsession with Egyptian mythology, other than Khonshu literally living in his head. So there's still so much that like we're just supposed to assume with Steven, and he's kind of just, you're right, just kind of tumbling through all of this, just kind of along for this ride. And everyone seems so genuinely confused about like who Steven is, why he's there, and like annoyed at the problems he's causing. Because like they're expecting Mark, and so yeah, I like that. I don't get where he is now then, because if he's just relived his whole life as Steven, he's technically lived twice now. So where is this? The asylum he's in, I don't know if I'm sure you saw this, but the office where Steven or Mark is sitting and Arthur is posing as this like sort of psychiatrist therapist type person questioning him. It's the same room where that jackal threw him out of the window and he became Mr. Knight. It's the same warehouse.
Dungeon.
It's
a warehouse.
Yeah. So like it's
a dungeon.
So like even that is like, okay, so he's been here before at least once, and that's when we saw Mr. Knight for the first time. But like, why? But this was also Arthur Harrow's place of operation. So like, are they back there and he's projecting something using magic, or I definitely think there's like magic involved. But then we had the next scene, which I know you're going to get to in a second with these sarcophagi. But yeah, I'll let you get to that. I do like this theory you have though, where this is more like an observation almost of Mark getting to kind of relive his life, but through a different lens, and how he would have done things differently, because there is kind of that regret there too, especially with Layla. So yeah, I like that. you're right. It's very slim, the chances of that being the case. But the magic of watching this show week by week is that we get to have that kind of open-ended interpretation of what's going on right now. That's my favorite part about shows like this. And that's why I wasn't really on board with Moon Knight until this episode, because I didn't really get a lot of that. We were more just questioning who Mark was as a person. Now we're questioning some much bigger things than that. So yeah, I like the conversation that's been created from this.
Yeah, I don't think I think it's very slim at best. I also think that everything we've seen is real. Everything we've seen has happened for the first time. Because at the same time, if you want to look at it that way, then the line, you know, he's already lived twice. If you think about it, he's been resurrected by Khonshu, you know, however long ago. So he's already lived these two lives. And, you know, whether or not Steven was there the whole time, that's a fun thing to find out, if I'm being dead honest with you. But they go on. There's one line in this when Mark says that was also the night I became Moon Knight. And she said, we only met because of that. So we actually don't know how old this Mark personality is. Steven could very well be the original personality. And Mark could be like an alternate to that. So like, with this episode, we don't even know if like Mark is the guy anymore, or it could be the third one that's been alluded to and kind of locked up this whole time. Maybe they're both invading on that third personality's original life. So we truly still don't know a damn thing. I just got the answer to the scales right now.
Tell me.
I can't tell you yet because we haven't gotten to that third sarcophagus. So I'm going to dive into the sarcophagi, and then I'm going to come back to what I think this place actually is. Mark runs out of there. He punches a guy. It's very important to note that it's Harrow as a spirit guide. He is a soul taking on a form that our feeble little human minds can comprehend. Unfortunately, it just happens to be the villain because at the end of the day, Mark's his own worst enemy. Mark runs away. He finds a sarcophagus, a very clean sarcophagus. There we go. Very generic, you know, like not very ornamented, you know, not
almost like gimmicky.
I wouldn't even say gimmicky, just like, oh, this was a person who lived a life and this is their life story kind of thing. Like it's a commoner. This is the word I was looking for. He's screaming, let me out of here. He gets let out by Mark.
Truly terrified, by the way.
Yeah, very
you can
terrified.
Hear the terror in his voice.
Well, I tell you, where am I? What's going on? Steven? Mark? They hug. What a hug. Who knew I needed them to hug, man?
Man, they did that shot so well too. Steven and Mark looking at each other and embracing each other. I'm the type of person that can't help but look for those instances where you can tell it's bad CGI. And this show has had those moments. This was not one of them. This scene was so cool, and it was so well done. Shout out to Oscar Isaac's brother, who stood in for him as the other guy. Then they basically, you know, it's important. He says, "What's the last thing you remember?" Harrow shot us. Yes, exactly. He loses it because he feels like he's losing his mind. Then they run around and they see just a third sarcophagus, also just shaking and rattling. And this one is standing up instead of lying down.
Yes, ready to attack. It is a red sarcophagus, yet to be seen by audience. The fact that, what the heck? That doesn't make sense. In my notes, makes no sense here. It's the sarcophagus has yet to be seen by the audience, and it kind of evokes the same feelings as episode 1 and 2 of having no idea what's going on. Steven and Mark also now have no idea what's going on, which is pretty fun. All right, that third sarcophagus, we're just going to jump to it, stay here for a moment. It's Jake Lockley, right? I mean, they could be anybody else. They could name him anybody else, but it fits, doesn't it? So I don't know what fits.
I don't know what fits anymore.
I have so many different beats to hit here that I'm like, they're insane questions. And I'm trying to dig deep into the existentialism of like How is this soul body situation going to work out? Jake Lockley, whomever is in this red sarcophagus, is very honest. Is obviously a very brutal person. Okay. Simply because of what you see him do, and he's covered in blood the way he was killing those other guys. Where Mark is like, what happened? It was me, Steven. Or whatever. Right. So, with Steven and Mark both shot in the chest, is it possible the only way to save Mark and Khonshu is for Jake to assume control of the body and lay waste to the mercenaries? By himself?
Oh boy. Yeah. I think so, but because as you were saying that, I was thinking of all the other times we've seen him kind of black out and that third personality's kind of taken form, and it's really like only to save Mark or Steven. You know, it's really, and then as soon as he does the, like in the third episode, as he's stabbing that guy, the last one, and then he asks Steven, what did you do? And they have that confusing conversation. But this third personality keeps cutting out, like as soon as he gets the job done, like it almost seems willingly. And it's just as long as it's necessary, and then he gets out of there. So like, it almost makes me think like it has something to do with Khonshu just being like, God damn it, this guy can't do anything. I'm just going to take control. And that's why he's so brutal. Wouldn't that be nuts if it's just Khonshu in that? And maybe that's why he can't get out of that tomb, is because Khonshu is imprisoned right now, and that personality's been subdued.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay. So
it doesn't have to be Jake Lockley. It can be Khonshu.
My very next question was, is Jake Lockley just Khonshu in a human body, hence the brutality?
Wow.
Or I got another one. Or is Jake the reason Khonshu bonded with Mark in the first place?
Ooh, it wasn't Mark that he wanted either. It was Jake. And he's like, okay, fine, I'll make Mark think that he's the one in control. But when I really need to pull out the stops, it's Jake I'm going to count on.
Exactly. So he saw two worthy avatars, one of justice and one of absurd violence.
Oh, wow. That is
right.
Oh, wow. That's so crazy.
Now, should this happen and Khonshu gets brought back to life from this world between worlds, so I'm just going to start dropping all my little synonyms for it. If Jake Lockley or this third personality gets a new Moon Knight suit, I'm going to need it to be the white and black one.
Yep, that's the exact picture I wanted you to show. Oh my God. This is the Moon Knight I want. And I know that it just fits right into the MCU's very tactical, down-to-earth Street Fighter kind of vibe that they got going on with so many heroes, like our new Captain America with Sam Wilson, and then you got Shang-Chi and his Underground Fight Club. But like, come on, man. This is everything that you would want from Moon Knight. I love the Mummy vibe, and I hope we continue to get that. But yeah, if Jake Lockley can have a more tactical, kind of practical feel for Moon Knight, kind of similar to how the Batman just did our Caped Crusader, in a much more down-to-earth, grounded feel. Oh wow, yeah.
Right.
Oh boy, yeah. We gotta have it.
Oh boy, yeah.
Shout out Matt Rimke. That line, you play that one line for him from Spider-Man, and it will drive him up a wall. It's
literally, anytime I hear that, it's exactly what I think of, because of his abhorrent, loathsome feelings for it.
Yeah.
Another line that I totally missed that is very important here, that comes from guidance counselor Harrow, is we don't live in a material world. We live in a psychic world. And then he makes it important to say, see this? To me, it's just a pen. But to my dog, it's a chew toy. Both are right. It's all a matter of context and perspective. In other words, from a certain point of view. Shout out Star Wars. But really, he's not wrong. And this, ladies, gents, and non-binary individuals, and any puppy that also might be listening, hi, doggy. You should understand that I'm about to get real deep here. Mark and Steven are running. They see a shadow coming through this, an outline, right? And it looks big. It looks scary. It looks like a monster. It opens. It is a hippo, adorned in the majesty of the gods. This is Taweret, the hippo that we saw, the little plush in episode 1, not Moon Knight, excuse me. Stephen Grant points it out. Taweret is the Egyptian god of fertility, and in this case represents nourishment and aid, likely to help Mark and Stephen figure out their stuff. Possibly birth Jake. I don't know. We'll find that out. What if Jake's not officially born yet? What if Jake's not conscious?
It's a third personality literally taking form before our eyes.
Dude, could you imagine? This show could go everywhere. This is why I said we're going to get
wow, she's like, I'm here to open that other sarcophagus for you.
Let me open your third eye.
Ooh, and we're going to see a third eye in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness next week, aren't we?
We are. Yeah, shout out Vision's third eye. Sad. So, where are we? I'm going to give you I'm going to call it the mental hospital, but I'm also going to call it the field of reeds, because that's inside the Egyptian lore of it all. I already called it the world between worlds, which is a Star Wars reference that I think also kind of fits in this situation. Now, fans of Logic should know that the album Everybody has a song that's really just a skit, and that skit is a beautiful scene between God, which is Neil deGrasse Tyson, and Adam, who for some reason I don't know the voice actor's name, and now I feel like a terrible person because he's amazing. They're having a discussion because Adam has died, and it starts off with, "So what are we waiting for? You said it was a waiting room, so what are we waiting for?" At 9 seconds, God says rebirth. Now, I could go on about a lot more, including how in that scene, it's one soul for every human being that has ever or ever will exist, ever. And that's how we can attain, one soul is everyone at different points, and then eventually they attain enough knowledge to become a god. That's the scene. That's the breakdown of that skit. So this could also be the waiting room, right? Waiting to be reborn and clean up your consciousness. I'm going to call it the life between lives right now, because that is coming from the book Journey of the Soul from Dr. Michael Newton. In that, he discusses the 10 stages of the afterlife. I want you to point out anything as we go that sounds familiar. Death and departure. Float out of the body and see those grieving around you, but a light calls to you for you to go.
Okay.
Doesn't fully fit, right? Gateway into the spirit world. Some see, some don't do that. Some see the light right at death and go to it, while others float high above earth well before ever seeing it. That one sounds a little bit more right.
The floating and the light that you've mentioned kind of sound like that scene where we saw Mark sink into the water.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. In a sense, because he did still seem conscious, like he was witnessing what was happening as he was sinking further. Interesting.
I like that. Homecoming. This is the third stage. There are 10 of them, I think I said. Meet the spirit guide and others, sometimes as beings of light, other times projecting faces that you're familiar with. Some are still incarnated on Earth, as the true soul remains in the spirit world, and the human body is the projection on Earth. Does that make sense?
So the human body is a projection of the soul on Earth.
Yes.
Is that the last part?
Basically.
Okay. Even though the soul was always existing off-world, technically.
Correct. So, like, you know how in Wedding Crashers, they're like, oh, they say we don't use 10% of our brains. I don't think we use 10% of our hearts. We might only be using 10% of our souls when we're on Earth.
Whoa. Okay. All right.
That's my theory. Can't test it. I don't have a way to do it. So that's my hypothesis. That's my hypothesis because we can't test it. Orientation. You heal trauma that you may have brought into the afterlife in a room of bright light. The second phase of orientation is a counseling process through your spirit guide. This is a private initial session to prepare you for your later appearance before the Council of Elders. You will discuss your life on Earth and whether you lived up to the expectations that you chose to experience and master before birth into Earth. Now we're starting to get somewhere, right?
Yeah. Wow. This is okay.
Transition. You see souls coming and going before group. You see souls coming and going in different ways. They talk about tubes and stuff in the book. But you do that before a group therapy session with all of the souls you love. And the same general soul evolution as you. These souls are usually the ones you love, and some in the same general soul evolution of level 1 to 6 or 7 or something like that. Can't remember off the top of my head. And you're aware of which ones are between lifetimes and which ones are also in a physical body in a carnal dimension, aka Earth. Or, well, technically, it might not be Earth. Then you appear before a council of elders to discuss your soul evolution and goals for your next incarnation. The members of the council of elders are highly evolved spirits who reside in the higher spiritual realm, the overvoid, with a sense of you remember that from last week, real quick? I threw overvoid in there. That's not from the book. Yeah. That's from Moon Knight, ladies, gents, and non-binary individuals, with a strong sense of divinity and are bathed in a light of energetic positive power. The elders encourage patience and to hold true to your values. Placement. With your soul group of 15 souls that you usually incarnate with, you examine your life book, whereby each page is a large leather-bound. Each page of this large leather-bound book contains a given period of time in your earthly life in the form of a virtual reality holographic projection, usually in the form of a screen. As you go through the book, you review your life experiences with emphasis on the minds of those with whom you interacted. Stephen Grant, Tomb Busters, came through a screen. Life selection. You must choose your next incarnation based on your evolutionary needs to aid in your soul growth. You will only choose incarnations you are capable of handling, but things don't always go as planned. Choosing a new body is your next one. Number 8, each body has difficulties associated with it. Thus, you will discuss your choices with your spirit guide. Most major injuries you will experience in your life are chosen at this point. Much of your personality will carry over from one life to the next, but there will also be personality influences based on the body you choose, such as hereditary and your familial experiences. Preparation and embarkment. High-level guides will assist you in this planning process. After the planning, you may have another meeting with the Council of Elders to remind you of your intention and goals. Finally, we got here. Number 10, Rebirth. Once you finally depart the spiritual realm, you have a sense of dropping downward through areas of luminous energy. Luminous beings, are we? You may also observe another dark tunnel and return to Earth within it. As you exit the tunnel, you are now in the body of a baby within your mother's new womb. After birth, you strive to integrate your soul energies with the brain of your new physical body. I think the best thing to do is jump right into what I think is going to happen next.
Yes, please.
So we're going to dig deep into the past, likely getting the first meeting of Khonshu and Mark. That's going to be big, going to be pivotal. We are going to see Layla's father if that happens, it sounds like. Was he the Red Scarab, protector of Egyptian lore? We'll find out. They do talk about a red scarf and a red scarab on it. Layla also had a red scarab on her finger, actually. Ooh, interesting. Mm-hmm. We're going to see some of Mark's past. A casting rumor came out, which kind of sucks, but it leads into what I was going to say, which is Mark's father is going to be around, or Steven's father, whoever is the original personality. We'll find that out. I think we'll learn about Steven's past, set us up for the soul bonding of the three personalities coming together and working as a unit. I also now think that we are going to meet this third personality. Remember, his sarcophagus was covered in red, which is, usually blood.
Right. Doesn't usually mean something good.
Yes. And then what was Stevens? Oh, yeah. White. Pure limestone with very little decoration and color drawn on it. They are the scales trying to balance out Mark.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You're right, because Steven is so much on the other end of that in terms of his set of morals and his how he literally gets queasy at the sight of blood and
being honesty,
which, by the way, I feel like had almost the same emotional weight as what is grief, if not love, persevering. That literally brought me back to WandaVision. I still think Vision's line is more impactful, but like this had that kind of feel to it. Wow, yeah. So Steven's just one side of those scales. Oh man, that's crazy. Maybe that's why we didn't see the scales, is because it was tipping too far to one side since Steven was in control.
I don't know, man.
Those scales, man, maybe they are just never, and maybe they just don't stop moving, and we were just but the way it panned away and then they looked up, it made me feel like, oh, they leveled out to something. But wow. Having Steven on one end and then this other, maybe Mark is the main personality then.
Yeah,
I'm thinking he probably is at this point. Yeah, but wow, that's insane.
Okay, are you ready for this? We leave, or at least we get to the point of leaving this entire thing at the end of this episode, because Loki episode 5, The Void, we thought it was game changing, and it was really a step for evolution, to understand yourself, to talk to multiple versions of yourself, multiple variants of varying age, degree, color, and curiosity. Then at the end, they're charging forth to go. They took on Goliath. They won. Glorious purpose. And then they go, and the next episode is just mind-boggling. Just Kanging all over the place with his apple and his purple. Oh, I should do a Kang costume like that. That'd be awesome. Hate apples, but I'll use an orange to be different. So in this episode, in this series, Moon Knight, not too dissimilar, I mean, we are talking gods here, just like Loki. So Taweret, right? The Egyptian goddess of fertility and nourishment and helping folks in, I think is going to help balance and talk to them and help guide them on this journey. I don't know what this journey is. I don't know where it's leading. All I know is it's getting us back to Earth. Whether Khonshu is, I don't think Khonshu will be yet saved, because he's still going to be in his Ushabti. But wasn't Taweret also a statue?
Was she?
If you look in the credits, they show a bunch of the Ushabtis, and one of them is like, Osiris. Not Osiris? Is that the one with the ears? No, Anubis. One of them is Anubis, and in the back is a hippo, Taweret. So if they are encased in stone, are they still like able to exist elsewhere? Like, that's my question. I don't know. See, she being Taweret, if I remember right, is described as helping and being a guiding light. And in this case, could be helping guide the field of reeds.
I want to know more about the field of reeds, because I know that the first time they mentioned it, or the only time they've mentioned it, it really stuck out to you. Do you think that that line adds any further implication to where they might be at the end of episode 4? Do you think that's why they brought up Field of Reeds
in episode 1?
Yeah. Do you think where they are in episode 4 is the reason they mentioned that in episode 1? Do you think they're planting seeds for that?
Oh, absolutely. As soon as they said that, well, yes, but also they're planting seeds right there to tell us that Mark Spector has already died.
That's the interesting part, is you're telling me that this goddess is for rebirth Is it that every time Mark is reborn into the same body, it has to come with another soul or personality or something?
What?
Maybe
my God.
Maybe that's why he's got this split personality, is because I don't know. They still haven't explained to us why he has this disorder or how he's lived with it up until this point, or how he was married and it never came up, or how, like, I know he's a secretive guy, but maybe Steven was born that night. And now maybe the reason this goddess is back, if she's the goddess of rebirth, I don't know, man. The way she says hi to them, does she know them already? Has she talked to Mark before? It didn't seem like either of them knew her.
I think she's just like being herself, like, hi, helpful, like Janet from The Good Place.
The Good Place. Hey, that might be a little more relevant than
I just thought. I should have watched The Good Place. I think that, people are like, oh, it's like a purgatory. In a way, yeah. A purgatory is not being able to go on to the next life. Earth could be described as a purgatory if you want to get super existential and mildly morbid and depressed. But I mean, if you've seen Everything Everywhere All at Once, nothing matters and stuff. Have you seen it? No. Okay, I'll take that face if you haven't. That's okay. We don't have time to dive into it. So.
I have the next 2 days off. I intend to see Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I intend to see The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, because I haven't been to the movies in a couple weeks now, and I've been watching everyone enjoy all this stuff without me, and I'm sick of it. I want to support these independent films. Let me.
Yes.
All right. Sorry. Anyway, back to it.
Yeah, back to Disney and owning everything.
Yeah, that's.
Whatever.
Hey, but it wasn't supposed to be that way, okay?
Yeah. Well, whatever happens in this next episode, we get back to Earth, and then Amit is released, and I'm writing it in my head. Amit gets released. They come back. They being Mark, Steven, and third personality, and they call upon the gods to see, like, have you seen what you have done? Amit is released. Release Khonshu or whatever. Like, I feel like that's going to happen. That's how Khonshu comes back. Khonshu gets favor in the gods because he wasn't lying. He really was trying to do this. He doesn't care about your ideas. And then they're going to go take on Amit. And we're going to see her. Because you're like, yeah, are we ever going to see her? And I'm like, probably not till the finale. Oh, that's the finale.
Yeah, right. We're super close. Like,
yeah.
There's only 2 episodes left, and the penultimate episode of every Marvel show is typically the craziest in terms of, I mean, Falcon and Winter Soldier, WandaVision, Loki, they all have these awesome finales that are so grand in scale, but like the most development, the most like progress happens in that second to last episode. You know,
it does.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we're going to be getting a lot in this. I definitely think we'll see Amit at least by the end of the episode, because it would just feel off to wait to reveal her until the final episode of it, to not even have that image of her, but just to get fans on board for the finale, but I don't know. I there's still so much that has to unfold here. There's still so much ground they need to cover that, like, there's truly no way for us to guess where this is going, but Khonshu has to be released. I think Mark is going to be the one to save him. I don't think it's going to be with the gods on his side until after this is resolved. I think this is going to be one of those instances where the gods, first of all, I'm still not convinced that all these gods aren't somehow in on this. How many gods have they imprisoned? There are 10. So many prisoners. At least 10. There's so many on that wall. Why? And now they're saying, oh, there's 2 gods missing at the beginning. And now they're saying, like, I don't know. The reason, the trial that they had, how piss poor it was, and justice was not served. And then you have Arthur Harrow literally just walking and talking with these avatars. And who was it? Horath's avatar that had to pull Steven aside and be like, look, I actually know of Senfu, the Magi, that might know where this tomb is. Why did she have to hide that from everyone else? Why is it that when she's seeking justice, she has to hide it from the others? I don't think that this whole God situation is going to end at all by the end of this series. I think it's going to be an ongoing battle where Khonshu's going to realize, or Mark's going to realize, maybe Khonshu already has some sort of inclination of this, that, oh, these gods, the reason I fear them so much is because of how corrupt they are and how they've put their power together and can't be stopped. Mark, maybe we can find a way to overthrow them if we find a way to defeat Amit.
Wow. Okay.
They have to find a way to make Moon Knight relevant going forward. If Amit is truly dealt with in this series, what is Moon Knight's purpose going to be going forward? How are they going to keep this relevant?
I love that. Okay, so I have not thought of this until this very second. When she's released, she could release any type of energy. Her little snake people could. I mean, she's supposed to be a crocodile, bro.
Mm-hmm. Right, and we just saw the hippo. So like we know that these gods, and obviously we've been dealing with Khonshu this whole time, so we know these gods take the form of how they're depicted. So there's a very good chance we'll see a crocodile.
And if that's the case, there's no telling what might happen, right? The gods were known to meddle with man and crossbreed, if you will. Yeah. Maybe not in Marvel, but you never know. Like she might be like, here's this magic, and it turns someone into something instead. Oh my God, that's how we get Serpent Society.
Oh wow.
She like breathes, she goes, you're a snake. A little snaky snake. But back to the plot. I do think that we get to her. Man, we've gone for so long on Moon Knight.
I was just looking at the clock. We've gone over an hour just talking Moon Knight. But luckily, we're almost at the end now. Now we just got to figure out where they're going next.
So how does it? Okay, so what could be going on? Anything released by Amit will continue. If she's imprisoned, she's already somehow gotten to Arthur Harrow, right?
Right. Exactly. Right.
So there's no reason to believe that they won't. I think what we're going to find out is when you're encased in stone, you have more power than you actually think, or than it's been told to us so far. Because again, Amit's been encased in this tomb.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
For however many whatevers, but Harrow has the scales. Harrow uses her staff.
Right.
Maybe he just learned how to do that himself. Oh, damn. That would make him way more formidable than he is, actually. But
would make him a lot cooler.
Which is saying a lot because Ethan Hawke plays it real cool.
Yeah.
Maybe whatever that happens, maybe Arthur Harrow just opens up a release of the underworld, or maybe it comes down to, oh, well, all these gods are trying to do this here too because they heard Amit almost succeeded. So we have to keep them in prison for the other gods. Here's what I want to know, man. When will Gore show up and kill these idiots?
You know, the way that he's appeared in marketing with like the white tunic and everything, honestly, I could see him walking around in ancient Egypt. Like he would kind of fit in, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I feel like the other reason they panned over all those trapped gods is because we have to see, they're going to have to make that the whole gods idea relevant to us or to the audience. And like now they have like a kind of another easy outlet that they can use to show Gore just slashing through some of these gods that are supposed to be all powerful.
Yeah.
So just like they're using Russell Crowe, I almost said Kurt Russell, ego. Russell Crowe in Thor: Love and Thunder for Zeus, they might be setting up these Egyptian gods just so they can slay through all of them. Dude,
I got a question for you real quick on these gods. Because
yeah.
I've been thinking about this. All right, so 10 gods imprisoned in stone, 11 if we're counting Amet. Are they like safe from being killed by Gore? Will he think to look at the Ushabtis? So like maybe this is only happening so that we can rebuild the Ennead. I mean, oh my God. Actually, yeah, there are 10 on that wall, right? You take Khonshu out because he doesn't give a damn, doesn't want to be there anyway. classic, then you have 9. You have a full Ennead, which means I'm so sorry, Hathor. I love you, but maybe they all die.
That actually makes sense. She could be set up in that episode 3 as the god that's going to make that sacrifice to make sure all the other gods are like not going to be a problem anymore. She might be the one within where she somehow creates a way where she's like, no, what you're doing is going to work. These gods aren't going to be a problem anymore. I'll make sure of it. And she's the one that kind of makes that sacrifice. And she's kind of like the one person helping Khonshu and Mark and all this because of her history with Khonshu. And then that will give Khonshu the motivation and the strength to kind of, keep going from there.
I love
because of, oh yeah. Wow. That's great. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So that totally ties into what I think about these other gods that are kind of just like, dude, it's like, it's this weird kind of like boys club kind of vibe. Like, I know they're not all men, but like these 5 or 6 gods kind of have like power over all of the other ones and have imprisoned a lot of them. Who knows how little they've imprisoned them for? Khonshu fears even bothering them because he's like, they'll put me in stone. I can't do it. Like he doesn't want to even draw their attention in the slightest bit. So unless it was necessary. So, there's a lot going on there.
The gods, and they'll
suffer their wrath.
Stone.
Yeah.
And all he did was change the sky again, and we will prison you in stone. I mean, they gave him a warning, and he did it again. Right. That is kind of like not a big deal.
Like, yeah, especially considering
get rid of these Karen gods. Get them out of there. Save Hathor, though. She's a nice lady.
Yeah.
Nice goddess, actually, technically. I'm so sorry, goddess. I didn't mean to do that to you.
It's okay. She's not real.
You don't say that. You don't know. On that note,
I was a boy.
Now I'm a podcaster. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back to dive into the news.
I'm GW Pomager.
I'm Dina Marie.
I'm Sage Ia.
I'm Thomas Carter Rochester.
Hey, I'm David Thompson.
Hi, I'm Kevin.
And I'm Mia.
Hi, I'm Mark.
Hey there, this is Dave Adams.
Hi, I'm Rosemary Rose.
Jerome Conner here.
Hey guys, it's Josh Bauer.
It's Willow Schuyler.
I'm Cosplay Michael.
It's your boy Country.
I'm Ryan Permison.
And I'd like to ask you guys, please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Please, please, please
subscribe.
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 Please subscribe to HWWS
WebTV.
Great bunch of people.
And don't forget to smash the bell.
Ring that bell.
Smash that bell.
Hit that bell.
Hit the bell to be notified.
Hit the bell to get notified of new shows
and videos.
You're going to want to do that, so do that soon.
So we can cross that 20,000 mark.
And get us to 100,000 subscribers.
To 1 million and 10 million and 100 million.
On HWWS
WebTV.
You really like it. I guarantee it.
Thank you.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
Reels and Heels is a podcast that discusses movies, television, wrestling, and more. With a rotating guest list of friends and filmmakers alike, Reels and Heels salutes the creative arts of all kinds. Join Brian Winzeloff and Nicole Jobin live every Saturday at 2:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Reels and Heels. And we are back in the news. And it's time for everyone's favorite segment. What, the news?
Awesome. Yeah, we have a few. There's one exciting story that just broke today that that I'd like to start with, and it's that Terry Crews might have a new MCU role. He has shown up in Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind adventure. That's I can't remember if it's at Disney World or Disneyland. But it's a new attraction for Disney. And this comes straight from Marvel.com from earlier today. It says a new face is joining the Guardians of the Galaxy to save the galaxy again. As revealed by the Disney Park social media accounts, actor Terry Crews is suiting up to join the adventure on Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind to take a peek at the newly released photo above, which I will share with you shortly. But I got to say, this kind of came out of nowhere. And although they did report on it, it didn't quite get the reaction that I was expecting from some of my friends that are also, up to date on this stuff. Look at the guy. Look at him. Yeah, he's going to be in the Nova Corps, man. So I got to say, this is pretty exciting. It says for the attraction opening soon at Epcot. Okay, so that would be the Walt Disney World Resort.
Yeah.
Crews will portray Centurion Tal Marik, commander of the Star Charter, who also happens to be a close advisor to Nova Prime, once again played by Glenn Close. So it says he finds himself calling on the Guardians for assistance because it's save the galaxy time, ... again. Just how many times can one crew save the galaxy anyway? So this is their new roller coaster. And Terry Crews is apparently going to be appearing on it alongside the Guardians.
Cool.
Now, what do you think? Does this mean that we're going to see Terry Crews in Guardians 3? Because this is implying that the Nova Corps isn't totally decimated like Thanos claimed.
I mean, it is a possibility, if I'm being entirely honest, that he could show up. I don't know if he will. This could easily be like its own pre-Infinity War timeline. It's not like the Guardians haven't done that before.
Okay, sure. It does say Cosmic Rewind, so I mean, this will definitely be spending time in the past. So yeah, that's a great point. This could very well just be all behind us.
I'm excited. Love Terry Crews. Instantly before you got into it, I was like, is he Richard Rider? That'd be amazing. I'm all for it. What do you got next, my guy?
All righty. Next up, this one is not as pressing, but it is really freaking exciting, dude. Natalie Holt, composer of the score for Loki. She did Paddington. She's working on the, I believe is it the Batgirl movie or series? I don't remember what she's doing with DC
film.
But she is teaming up with the one and only John Williams to put together the score for Disney Plus's Kenobi series. How freaking exciting is that, Thomas? Tell me your initial thoughts. What did you think when you saw this news break?
I think it was something along the lines of like, finally. For a visual audience, for the audio audience, excuse me, I just rack zoomed onto my face because I have been waiting for this the moment I heard her score on Loki. And I started listening to it. I was like, this is Star Wars, man. Like, this feels like Star Wars. And I don't remember if I told you or David, if I might have said it on this show. I genuinely want her to do a Star Wars because she's brilliant. And you had an interview with her, and she mentioned that John Williams is the reason she even does anything.
Yes,
right?
Yes. When we talked about Star Wars, she was very quick to admit John Williams was pretty much the reason that she became a composer at all. So to see her dream come true like this is really exciting, especially having gotten to actually talk to her about it and hear her gush. Now the question is, did she know when I talked to her? And that's why she was so secretive about it. Is she already had this in place?
I think she did know. Yeah. Honestly.
It was last July or August, somewhere around there. So
And Kenobi was filming.
Yeah, man. She told us with Loki, you know, she was pretty involved in the production process, even though it was all post. So it would be cool if she just had that in with Disney already, and they brought her on that early. But yeah, Natalie Holt doing the Kenobi series. That's going to be great.
It is.
Now, Star Wars.
But it's also with John Williams, and there's a really important part here. John Williams went back to Kathleen Kennedy and said, I never got to write a theme for Benny. So can I write a theme for Benny? That's what he calls Kenobi, man. He calls him Benny.
He calls him Benny?
Like, are you kidding me, man? He's 91. He wants to come back. And they were like, yeah. Thank you, John Williams. So shout out. If you want more of my deep, crazy thoughts, check out Reckless Rebellion, because this is going to get wild.
Awesome. Oh, yeah, that's great. Also, let's keep it on the Star Wars page for a minute. There was a report that Star Wars is re-releasing the chronological list of the Clone Wars, including season 7. So I'm not going to lie. When I read this headline, I could not make sense of it at all. I do not get what's significant about this. So Thomas, I'm going to throw this right over to you so that you can tell everyone what this means.
What this means is it's an anthology series. So not everything inside the series, episode 1 of season 1 to the final episode of season 7, not all of it is in chronological order. It starts and it jumps around, and it's an anthology. It's a war movie. So they listed it out in chronological order. So as soon as Attack of the Clones happens, you can go watch these in order and stay in canon universe timeline.
Oh, wow.
So you will grow. Like in season 2, they have an episode with some of the clones when they're training. And then in season 3, they have another one. And then I think in season 4, they have another one. And so those are like sprinkled in the earliest episodes, but they're from later on. So the storytelling is going to be evolved a little differently, as well as the animation. Even season 7 is not in chronological order. And I didn't know that till I looked at this. So season 7, the first 4 episodes are actually right before, like, the way it was released, you know, Anakin with the Bad Batch, then Ahsoka with the Martez sisters, and then Ahsoka and the Siege of Mandalore. It was done that way, so it's like building hype for Ahsoka's return, essentially. But it's actually Ahsoka and the Martez sisters, set earlier after her order leaving, but before Bad Batch, really. That was not said well. Set after season 6, but before Bad Batch arc in season 7, and then that's supposed to lead right in, and you follow Anakin in to that Siege of Mandalore.
Wow.
I don't watch it that way. I watch it just straight to the order. It's a little difficult to jump season to season, like from seasons around. Like, it's a lot, but it's an opportunity, and now you have no excuse not to watch it. JRB,
man,
that
you
was the
just
only
made it
reason I put
sound.
it in here.
You made it sound more intimidating and more confusing. But
season 1, episode 1, go.
Yeah, no, friend of the podcast and co-host of your other podcast, Reckless Rebellion, right. Jack Hughes has put me on to Clone Wars and given me a specific watch list, watch order, if you will, leading up to Kenobi. So yeah, I got to get on that, man. I need to get on this level of hype that you guys are all at. But
yes,
yeah, Star Wars, man, it just keeps going up. It keeps moving up. Another thing that keeps moving up is how happy I am with how great this Batman movie was that we got this year.
Right.
They're starting to give us a ton of more details on this movie, especially now that it's available on HBO Max. But one thing they showed us last week, and we were going to get to it, but we got so caught up with everything happening with the Thor Love and Thunder. Wow, it's been that kind of day, huh? Love and Thunder trailer and the Moon Knight episode that we were also excited about. We didn't even get to the fact that Warner Bros. Revealed they had like 24 alternate Batman symbols to use as the logo for the movie. Now, Thomas and I have taken a pretty extensive look at these. And by that, I mean, we've looked at each one and gone, it's not as good as the one that we got. Of the list that we have here, and there's so many, I'm having a hard time fitting them all on the screen here. There we go. Of the ones shown here, I want to say it's which number is the one we actually got? Was it 22?
22.
Yeah. I got to say that's got to be the best one here. I think they probably made the best call, especially with how much I wasn't a fan of Ben Affleck's. But Thomas, what was your first thought when you got this graph of all of these alternate Batman logos?
My first thought was 6, 11, and 15 and 21.
6
could be
6.
Yeah.
Say it. I know you're going to say it.
Batman Beyond.
Yes. Oh, love you, man. Yes,
all of them.
that is.
I was like, all of these could be one.
Number 6 is 100% Batman Beyond, and I'm so happy they didn't use that one because I still have hopes that we're going to see some sort of Batman Beyond project in live action within the next 5 years. I just want to manifest that. They're doing so much with Batman, and they still won't give us. You brought Michael Keaton back for a multiverse movie with Flash, but you won't bring him back to play old Bruce Wayne in Batman Beyond?
He's kind of doing that in Batgirl.
I know, and I'm mad about it.
Well,
but anyway.
If I had to pick my Batman Beyond, is 6 your Batman Beyond symbol?
Yes.
Mine is 21.
I can get with that. I can get with that. I'm okay with that. I still prefer 6 because it just reminds me of the big ass red logo on the cartoon.
Oh, yeah, it does.
But 21 fits that vibe real nice.
Nightwing's in here too, right?
Oh my
Number
God.
5.
You're right. Holy shit.
A lot of these I'm like, oh, that's Nightwing. Oh, that's Batman Beyond. Oh, that's Frank Miller. Oh, that's the 60s Batman.
Wow.
My 2 favorite of all of these is number 22 and then number 2.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
easy.
And those are almost identical.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, there was one on here. I don't remember. I can't. No, it was, I think, number 11. All I could see was a Zubat. And I was like, no, it was number 1. It was number 1. All I could picture was a Zubat from Pokemon. And I was like, I'm so glad that didn't happen. But it's really cool to see that they're willing to like show us all of these because it's like DC is finally realizing like what fans want. Which is so exciting because we had James Gunn direct the Suicide Squad last year, and that was so much fun. And then you have the Batman that comes out this year, and this movie was incredible. And so within the past year, I can say that I've enjoyed multiple DC movies. When was the last time I could say that? It's been a while.
Long time ago, yeah.
Long time ago, yes. Usually it's like one every 2 years, if that. So I'm really enjoying where they're going with like trying to cater to the fans like outside of the movie and then just making a good movie that we all enjoy. And then just like with the Joker deleted scene, that was public within a week of the film's release, wasn't it? 2 weeks? 2 weeks.
Something like that, yeah.
It was very soon after the release. Or no, it was the shot of Joker. We got the full scene like maybe 3 weeks later. But they were the marketing for this movie and what they chose to release when was 100% with the fans in the forefront of their mind. It was not at all a marketing scheme because a lot of this is coming after the fact. This is very much a guy like Matt Reeves saying, "Oh, I know what you guys want to see," and taking the time to actually include the fans on this process of this new Batman that he's introducing us to. It really feels like we're along for that ride with Robert Pattinson, where he's becoming this new Batman. We're getting to see what if he kind of went through some of these, and like I know that the bat symbol on his suit is practical, but also what if he did kind of consider multiple logos? You know, what and these different alterations that we're seeing here. What if this is something that kind of went through his head as he's trying to create this Batman persona, so it feels really cool to be like involved somewhat in this growth that we're seeing from Batman. It's really cool.
Yeah, I don't have a lot on these Batman symbols other than
this was definitely
give me
more...
a Nightwing, damn it. give me live action Nightwing.
We need Nightwing. Now, this was the main news topic I wanted to get to, and I'm glad we didn't try to shove it into last week because this definitely deserves its own talking point. Karen Gillan has teased that a new version of Nebula may be explored following Avengers Endgame. So we saw in Endgame that Nebula essentially killed herself. She was pit against this older version of herself from 2014, the same timeline that Thanos comes from, that they end up having to fight, and Gamora comes from, who ends up escaping and will likely be a plot point for the Guardian story moving forward. Nebula comes out, and the present day Nebula that's been helping the Avengers makes the decision to kill her. So she kills a version of herself, which is very symbolic to the old version of Nebula officially being gone and this new Avenger Guardian type Nebula rising out of this. And Karen Gillan is really leaning into that. In an interview recently, she revealed that she finds it really interesting to explore how this character starts to heal and become after Thanos has been removed from the board. So her full quote says, "One of the most interesting things about Nebula for me was her relationship with her father and sister. And now that her father Thanos has been eliminated, he was the source of all her torment and abuse. It's really interesting to explore how this character starts to heal and who this character starts to become now that the threat that was always looming over her is gone. So I've been having a lot of fun with that." That right there is very intriguing. I'm gonna get through the rest of this quote real quick, and then we're gonna stop just so we can address that. She said, "What can I tell you without telling you?" She's implying that they already have a lot in place. I mean, she's definitely going to become a slightly different person as the events unfold after all those events in Endgame. So we're definitely going to see a new version of the character. Maybe a looser version of the character, maybe a little more levity, but we'll see, because I haven't actually seen the movie yet. Like she's not playing the role. We did get to see an alternate version of Nebula during Disney Plus's What If, when we saw a blonde Nebula working with T'Challa, and she very much had a good side to her. What if that was more of a taste of what we're going to get with Nebula going forward? What do you think about that?
I love that. I love Karen Gillan. All right, let's real fast. Just say that. Love her. Everything she does is fantastic on the screen. Her stuff in Jumanji is peak. Like, hits comedy beats, hits emotional beats. In Nebula, hits comedy beats, hits emotional beats, hits action beats. I think her action is better as Nebula, but that's mostly because she's obviously trained to be that action hero. Inside the universe, I mean. Now, I was thinking as you were talking, and I was like, well, it'd be great if Nebula had blonde hair in this, at some point. And then I was like, but we've already seen her in the Thor Love and Thunder trailer. And then I remembered that the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special has released something, and there's a Groot wrapped in an adult looking Groot.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe like a young adult Groot, wrapped up in Christmas lights, signifying a time jump after dropping off Thor, which means Guardians 3 might be the latest film ever. Like it could be so far off the time stream here that it could be set like 5 years after where we are. It could be 2030 when they finally get to that. Like, it's a possibility. Do I think it happens? No.
Yeah. That's definitely going to be. Yeah, look at that new Groot. This is like frat Groot. This is like young adult, like freshman in college Groot. It's just I love this. You know what? I'm just happy we're not having teen Groot anymore. I don't feel like we got anything from teen Groot for it to be like
Stormbreaker.
Well, other than Stormbreaker, but any version of Groot could have done that. So like, that was really like that moment of sacrifice where he puts down his video game. Sure, that's a great moment for Groot, but it just felt like, I don't know. I have not been happy with what they've done with Groot since Guardians 1, so I'm very excited to see an adult Groot again.
Oh, wait, you're not excited for Baby Groot the show?
No.
Wow.
If I can
John
be honest,
Ross
no.
Bradford hates Groot. John Ross Bradford hates Baby Groot. John Ross Bradford hates fun.
Oh, God. I'm going to be all over the paper tomorrow. No, I liked Baby Groot until I felt like it was the only thing Marvel was known for about 6 months. Baby Groot took over the world, and I was not happy about it. And I also think Baby Groot was the most redeeming quality of Guardians 2, which is another reason why Guardians 2 in general doesn't sit well with me. The fact that Baby Groot is arguably the most memorable element of that movie makes it worse. So anyway, I digress. Let's get back to what we're talking about for Karen Gillan. She is really leaning into these theories about Nebula kind of turning a new leaf. So I know some people had theories about Nebula going forward and were upset that she wasn't the one to kill Thanos. But if we're looking at the overarching, MCU lore, it really wouldn't have felt right if she was the one to do that. So much like how Drax is going to have to live with the fact that he didn't take Thanos' life, but instead played a role in making that happen, Nebula is going to have to do something similar. So she did go on to say more about her continuation with the Guardians. She's saying, quote, "This is going to be an amazing adventure for the Guardians, and also maybe we might be closing out a final chapter for the Guardians as we know it." So while she's teasing all of these changes for Nebula, she's also teasing that, like, we're not going to see this team anymore. So much like we saw her integrated into a version of the Ravagers in Marvel's What If, are we going to see her take on a similar role going forward in the actual main MCU timeline? What do you think?
Indubitably. I like that. You really think that they'll go prequel route?
No. I don't think they're going to go prequel route at all. What I'm saying is that even though the Guardians may not be a thing anymore, is Nebula going to stick with the Ravagers and continue on with them, because she does fit in pretty well with what the Ravagers represent. And she did have that back and forth with Kraglin in the second movie where she borrowed a ship from him and they started kind of having that back and forth with each other. So they are kind of planting seeds for it if you think about it.
Did I just ship them in my head, Kraglin and Nebula? Yeah, I might have.
Oh, God. Oh, wow. Oh, I kind of like that. Okay.
Right? It's like, you know what? Wow, if she opened up, they'd be great together.
Yeah, interesting. Okay.
Like this version, right? Not the, come on, Cha-Cha.
No, none of that. No, that was good for What If, but let's keep it there. I don't want her to fully shift. I'd still want that to be that gritty kind of closed off, doesn't trust anyone kind of Nebula.
I think I'd pretty with your hair. That's not my Kraglin. That's Taser fight. Taser fight.
But yeah. Nebula, I'd like to see her open up more, but I don't want her to lose her character. Now, speaking of that character, Karen Gillan's even gone as far to say recently that she'd be open to a Disney Plus spinoff series focusing specifically on Nebula. I can't imagine her making a comment like this without knowing the future of her character. Because she's saying so much about the end of the Guardians. She has to know what her role is in that end of that story, whether or not she continues on after that. But
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, when asked about the possibility of headlining her own MCU series on the streaming service, this comes from our family over at The Direct. Gillan admitted that while such a project would be up to Marvel Studios, she would be open to the prospect of exploring Nebula's really interesting backstory. She said, quote, "I guess Marvel will have to say yes. So if you want to get them to do that, that would be great. But I think Nebula has a really interesting backstory, so that would be really cool to learn more about." So she's not super specific in what the show about Nebula would include. But she is saying that there's still a story worth telling. David Thompson in the chat saying, "Hey guys, love y'all. Hope you're having a good night." Hey David, great to hear from you. I'm assuming he was probably watching the Celtics beat the crap out of the Nets for the 4th game in a row.
Boo.
But anyway, yeah, Karen Gillan seems very set on continuing Nebula's story. That's got to mean that we should have high hopes for her following Thor: Love and Thunder and even Guardians 3. What do you think? I truly don't know how to gauge where they're going with Nebula now, and I think they're doing that on purpose to kind of keep us guessing. But I think she's going to play pretty heavily into how they track down Gamora. David followed up, said, "I was indeed watching the game." Yes, I can hear my fiance screaming from the other room. So I do know that the Celtics just swept the Nets. So that feels great. But yeah, Karen Gillan as Nebula. Where do you think they can go with this?
Well, Kraglin, she could be Valkyrie's queen. Honestly, that's kind of what I really want now. Is I want her to be Valkyrie's queen. Actually, Valkyrie and Nebula ruling New Asgard. I'm here for it. No, yes, I'm here for it. But I also think that where they will go is likely to whatever they do. They're gonna, because she likes the backstory, right? They're gonna have flashbacks. I think whatever it is going to like tie back in deeply, whether that is therapy sessions, or something to get the audience involved. It remains to be seen, but I'm excited. Again, love Karen Gillan. Big time fan. David says in the comments, because basketball's the thing, Celtics versus Heat is going to be an awesome East Coast finals. Is what he says.
It absolutely will be. The Celtics are moving on. The Heat won't be far behind after we put the Hawks away tomorrow night. We'll have one more round and then we'll see you.
Okay, I was going to say, and then it's the cool.
This is only first round. Yeah.
The Mavs just started their game. Shout out. I still haven't bought YouTube TV, so that's on me. I think it's
the only reason
TV.
I have YouTube TV.
Exactly. Well, guess what, ladies, gents, and non-binary individuals? We have reached near the end of the show. You can find LightsThunderAction on social media by going to Linktree.com/LightsThunderAction, all one word, no hyphens, no spaces. That'll get you to our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. We are on Twitter at LTA Podcasting. That's an action verb. Lately, we're the most active on the Twitter. But we stream everywhere. JRB, where can everyone find you on social media?
You can find me at JRB_direct on Twitter and Instagram.
You can find all of my links at TCRochesterACT. That's not right. Linktree.com/TCRochesterACT, and on Twitter at TCRochesterACT. That'll get you some, my Linktree will get you everywhere, but my Twitter will get you some jokes. Maybe. A lot of Star Wars talk there. If I'm being honest. I dropped some real fun fact. Our last news story, Baby Shark is canon in Star Wars.
What?
So in the latest book, Queen's Hope by E.K. Johnston, based on Padme, said after episode 2, Padme walks away and hears a character hum a really upbeat, fun song about a carnivorous water species family.
Oh.
And someone asked the author, "Is that Baby Shark?" And she's like, "Yeah, that's hilarious, right?" And so officially, Baby Shark is canon in Star Wars, and you can't tell me otherwise. You know what that means, right? That means the planet of Kakaris is either A, losing their mind because they love it, or B, it's propaganda for them to tell the galaxy to love sharks, because the Carcharodon species is a shark species that has bipedal like humans in Star Wars. There's your Star Wars fun fact for the day. Go watch the Clone Wars season 4. The first 3 episodes, I believe, is the Water War. It could be season 3, the first 3 episodes, but it's the Water War. You definitely want to watch that. It's the only appearance of Riff Tampson in that entire species. but I thought, it was the first thing I thought of. 'Cause that's my brain. Megacon 2022 is just around the corner. That is a month and a day away, kids. May 26th to the 29th in Orlando, Florida. There will be the entire HWWS family there. We will have the Kitchen Killers. We, or at least I, living in Florida, will be there for a part of LightsThunderAction, as well as the WebTV family. And we will have a panel there called Thunder Buddies Live. What is the date and time? Don't know yet. They haven't told us. When we know, we will tell you, and maybe David will show up, or someone else who lives in Florida might show up and join the panel. Then again, they might not, and it might just be me floundering for 45 minutes, cracking jokes like I'm doing stand-up comedy again. Oh my God. But I can assure you, no matter what it is, it will be entertaining, because yours truly doesn't like to leave a crowd unhappy. Speaking of leaving a crowd unhappy,
oh God,
they would be upset without recommendations from you, JRB.
Yes, I'm going to recommend. I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to recommend something I haven't seen yet, so we can see it together this week, and then we can talk about it next week. So, I'm going to recommend The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, because I know that I will be seeing that movie this week. And I'm very excited for how fun that one looks. It just looks like a joyride, and that's what I'm here for. I'm just here for a good time, man. And then I'm also going to recommend not watching Fast 9, because it's not worth it. I finally rented Fast 9 from Redbox. I'm not going to say it. HBO Max, I hate you. I went to Redbox, rented it, paid the $2 for it. It was fun. It was ridiculous. It had one of the best post-credit scenes in all the history of post-credit scenes, but was then ruined by the rest of the movie. Why am I avoiding spoilers? This movie's been out for like forever.
Yeah, I've never seen it. So
okay, one of the main characters that dies, his name is Han. He dies in like the 4th movie, or no, it's
Tokyo Drift.
Yeah. So he dies really early on, and he comes back in this movie. And the way they explain it is very similar to Palpatine, just somehow he returned. It's very dumb. But then the post-credit scene is him showing up at the door of the guy who killed him, or thought he killed him. If they had just made that the post-credit scene and cut out then and not had him in the rest of the movie at all, because they could have not had him in the rest of the movie. And then they could have just waited until Fast 10, which is supposed to be the finale for this franchise. They like included him in the entire movie and then made that like a big reveal for the post-credit scene. So it would have been perfect if he wasn't already in the rest of the movie. So
that's confusing.
Marvel is so good at post-credit scene, and like no one else is. And I'm really getting tired of no one else being able to do it. So I'm just like, stop doing it. And just don't do it if it's not good. But yeah, Jason Statham was also in it. So like in the post-credit scene. So they're also teasing he'll be back for the finale. So I don't know. But yeah, Fast 9, don't watch it. Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, watch it with me. So we can talk about it next week. What are you going to be watching? What did you watch? What do you want to watch? What are we going to be talking about on next week's show?
Next week's show is going to be fun. I am leaving town Friday to go to a buddy's birthday down south for the weekend. So I'm traveling this weekend. It's going to be a fun time. I'm going to get sunburnt, and then I'll be back, go to work Monday, do the show Monday night. It's going to be a wild ride. We're going to talk about Moon Knight episode 5 for sure. We're probably going to talk about Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
And maybe we can sneak in Unbearable Talent. We'll see what happens. Maybe we'll have to do our own special episode next week and just talk about those other 2 films. Just because I feel like they're Everything Everywhere All at Once could be a long discussion.
I from what I've seen, it's not going to be a quick one. So we might have to do like maybe we'll dabble in maybe recording an audio exclusive for one of these reviews. We can talk about maybe setting some time aside to really dive deep into this film, especially with how much you appreciate it. I'm assuming I'll have a similar sentiment for it. So yeah, I'd love to be able to do that.
Join the hive of the Everything Everywhere All at Oncers. It's what I'm calling it.
Everything Everywhere All at Oncers.
A friend of mine, like I was just scrolling on Twitter, and it was like Everything Everywhere All at Once is one of the greatest things I've ever seen. It's a 9.5, and I shared it, and I was like, another one's joined the hive, and you're like, I changed it to a 10 out of 10, and I was like, you're totally in the hive, man. Yeah, and I have a feeling that the unbearable weight of massive talent is also going to have a very similar emotional tug.
Okay.
Based on what it's seen, like looks as if it's going to be a mild, like exploration of someone's mindset as an actor on film.
Right.
Is what it's looking at,
what
so
their perception is, and
it could get dark.
Absolutely. They're showing a lot of funny moments in the trailer, but that could be because there's some really deep moments in it too. This trailer, as much as it seems like a joyride, it can't all be serious. They're working towards something very specific in that movie. So I can't wait to see Nick Cage be put under this microscope. I love the man, and I'm so excited to go see him on the big screen.
Yeah, same. I don't genuinely remember the last time I saw him on a big screen, so gonna be a fun. I definitely have. I've definitely Disney movies, National
Treasure
1 and 2. I think I saw in theaters. That was
beautiful.
Ladies and gentlemen and non-binary individuals, we have reached the end of our show. As always, there could be no show without the Iron Man variant to my left. World famous journalist John Ross Bradford, bringing a needed eloquence and wit to this. Thank you to Terry McIver and David Thompson for their work behind the scenes, helping set up the show and discussing topics. Thank you to the HWWS WebTV family for supporting us, carrying us on the network, as well as all of our sponsors for the HWWS WebTV network. One of them is Megacon, Famous Faces and Funnies, I do believe. And I'm not remembering off the top of my head, and I can't find it in our notes. So I'll fix that for next week. And I'll have all of our beautiful sponsors listed. And maybe I'll make a commercial. I don't have that much time. But otherwise, I would. And most importantly, thank you, fans, for listening. For joining us weekly, whether you're watching on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, or listening via Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, or Spotify. We appreciate you spending your time with us.
Absolutely. Yes. Please like, follow, and subscribe. Drop us a comment. Leave us a review. Give us 5 stars if, of course, you feel we are worthy.
As always, I'm TCR.
And I'm JRB.
Thank you for joining episode 82. No, 83. What is time?
83
of LTA. We'll see you next time.
Peace.